Your kind always tries this. FBI's already on the way.
The words sliced through the marble lobby of First National Bank like a blade. Jasmine Washington stood perfectly still, her worn leather briefcase steady in her hand. Around her, customers turned to stare. Karen Mitchell, the branch manager, held her phone like a weapon. Her manicured finger hovered over the call button. Fraud division? Yes, we have a situation. The security guards moved closer, one hand on his radio, the other near his belt. The kind of stance that made headlines. Jasmine's voice remained level. I'm simply trying to access my account. That's what they all say. Karen's smile was sharp as glass. Have you ever been judged guilty before anyone asked your name? The clock above the teller windows showed 2:48 p.m. In 12 minutes, the armored truck would arrive for First National's weekly high-value transfer. Jasmine needed her transaction completed before it left. Ma'am, step away from the teller window. Karen's voice carried across the lobby like a proclamation. Her blonde bob swayed as she positioned herself between Jasmine and the teller. A college student in a Columbia University hoodie lifted his phone. Y'all seeing this? The live stream notification popped up. Banking while black, live now. Jasmine pulled out her documentation. I called ahead, spoke with Rebecca Chen about the wire transfer. Karen's eyes narrowed as she examined the papers. These look suspicious. She held Jasmine's driver's license to the light, squinting theatrically. This photo doesn't quite match. Weight gain, perhaps? The insult hung in the air. Jasmine's expression didn't change. I'll need additional verification. Karen's fingers drummed against the marble counter. Birth certificate, social security card, 2 utility bills. It's protocol for suspicious individuals. Behind them, an elderly black woman clutched her purse tighter. She'd seen this before. Different decade, same dance. The Latino teller, Miguel, leaned forward. Ms. Mitchell, I can verify. Did I ask for your input? Karen's tone could have frozen water. Miguel retreated. The live stream viewer count climbed 1,500. Comments flooded in. Not this again. Record everything. Where's this bank? Jasmine glanced at her watch. 10 minutes until the truck. Her phone buzzed insistently. The screen flashed. Treasury Department. She let it ring. I've been banking here for 3 years, Jasmine said calmly. Have you? Karen typed furiously on her computer. I don't recall seeing you, and I never forget a face. Her emphasis on the last word carried weight. A businessman waiting in line shifted uncomfortably. He saw what was happening, said nothing, looked at his shoes instead. Karen studied the computer screen. A $50 million transfer? Please? She laughed, but there was no humor in it. I've seen every scam. Nigerian princes, lottery winners, inheritance from long-lost relatives. I'm neither. I'm a customer. Jasmine's briefcase bore embossed initials, JW, ESQ. The leather was worn but well-maintained, the kind passed down through generations. Customers don't demand $50 million transfers. Karen's voice rose, ensuring everyone heard. Customers make appointments. Customers provide proper verification. Customers don't storm in here making demands. The security guard's hand moved to his radio. Should I call Metro PD? No. Karen's smile widened. I've already called the FBI. They specialize in this kind of thing. The word hung heavy. Thing. Miguel noticed something on his screen. His eyes widened. Ms. Mitchell, you should see. What did I just say? Karen didn't even look at him. The elderly woman spoke up. That young lady's been nothing but polite. Karen turned, her professional mask slipping. Ma'am, please mind your own business. This is a security matter. Jasmine's phone buzzed again. Federal Reserve, Urgent. She silenced it. 9 minutes, Jasmine said quietly. Good. The FBI will be here in 5. Karen folded her arms. Then we'll see what's what. The live stream hit 5,000 viewers. Someone had tagged the local news. A reporter was already in her car, racing downtown. Jasmine reached into her pocket. A first-class boarding pass pecked out, Dulles to Geneva, tomorrow morning. Karen's eyes caught it. Planning to flee the country? The accusation came quick. Returning from a conference. Jasmine's voice remained steady as stone. The second security guard arrived. 3 men now formed a semicircle, the kind of formation that made people nervous, that made mothers clutch their children closer. I need to make this transfer. Jasmine's tone carried an edge now. Not desperation. Something else. What you need is a lawyer. Karen pulled out her personal phone, started recording. For the record, I've asked you repeatedly to step back. You've refused. You've presented suspicious documentation for an abnormally large transaction. The teller screen still blinked with information Miguel had tried to share. Account history, transaction patterns, a note in the system that would have changed everything. But Karen wasn't looking at screens. She was looking at skin. 7 minutes, Jasmine said. The Columbia students' live stream hit 10,000. The title had been updated. Bank manager calls FBI on black woman, watching live. Comments poured in faster than anyone could read. Jasmine's briefcase sat on the counter. Whatever was inside stayed hidden. But when she shifted it slightly, one of the guards glimpsed something. His face changed. Ms. Mitchell, he whispered urgently, I think you should do your job. Karen cut him off. Which is securing this premises until federal authorities arrive. The elderly woman pulled out her phone, fingers shaking as she tried to record. This ain't right. Lord knows this ain't right. Through the glass doors, sirens became audible, getting closer. Karen's smile was triumphant. Hear that? That's accountability. Jasmine stood perfectly still, a woman who'd learned long ago that sudden movements could be misinterpreted, that reaching for identification could become reaching for a weapon in someone else's story. The armored truck pulled up outside, 6 minutes early. Time was running out. The sirens grew louder. Through the bank's glass facade, red and blue lights painted the afternoon shadows. The Columbia student kept his phone steady. They really called the FBI on her. This is insane. His viewer count surged past 15,000. Rebecca Chen, the assistant manager, emerged from the back office. Her face went pale as she absorbed the scene. Karen, what's happening? I'm handling a security threat. Karen's voice rang with authority. This woman is attempting fraud. Rebecca's eyes found Jasmine, then the computer screen at Miguel's station. Something flickered across her face. Recognition? Fear? Karen, I think we should discuss. There's nothing to discuss. Karen's tone brooked no argument. I've called the authorities. Step back. The live stream comments exploded. Someone had identified the bank. The location spread like wildfire. #banking. While black started trending. A news alert popped up on phones throughout the lobby. Jasmine's phone rang again. The screen showed a 202 area code, Washington, D.C. She declined the call. Guilty conscience? Karen observed. Your accomplices checking in? The security guards tightened their formation. One whispered into his radio. The words potential threat and federal authorities en route crackled through. An older white woman in line spoke up. This is ridiculous. She's just trying to bank. Karen whirled. Ma'am, unless you're a security expert, I suggest you stay quiet. The woman fell silent, but kept recording. 3:56 p.m. The armored truck driver checked his watch. Protocol said 5 more minutes before departure. The weekly high-value transfer to the Federal Reserve wouldn't wait. 4 minutes, Jasmine said. Her calmness seemed to infuriate Karen more. You're awfully concerned about time for someone about to be arrested. Karen's phone buzzed with notifications. The bank's Yelp page was being bombed with one-star reviews. She ignored it. Miguel tried once more. Ms. Mitchell, the system shows... Miguel, if you interrupt me one more time, you'll be looking for a new job. Karen's mask of professionalism cracked further. The young teller's hands shook as he stepped back, but his eyes stayed on his screen, on the information that could end this, on the note that explained everything. Outside, a news van screeched to a halt. A reporter jumped out, cameraman in tow. Through the glass, they could see the scene unfolding. The Columbia student provided commentary. She's been nothing but calm. The manager's the one escalating. Look at this. He zoomed in on Jasmine's face. Composed, dignified, unbroken. More phones came out. Different angles, multiple witnesses, the kind of documentation that lawyers dream about. Jasmine's briefcase sat on the counter. When the light hit it just right, you could see more than initials. A small emblem, official-looking. But Karen wasn't paying attention to details. She was performing for an audience. I've seen this before, Karen announced. They come in, all dressed up, thinking we won't check, thinking we're stupid. The word they landed like a slap. The elderly black woman couldn't stay quiet anymore. That's enough. You're humiliating this woman for no reason. No reason? Karen's voice pitched higher. $50 million isn't a reason? Rich people exist, someone muttered. Not like this, Karen shot back. Not walking in off the street. Jasmine's phone lit up again. FBI headquarters. She let it ring. The security guard who'd glimpsed inside the briefcase shifted nervously. Ms. Mitchell, I really think... I don't pay you to think. The words came out sharp enough to cut. 3:58 p.m. The armored truck driver started his engine. Protocol was protocol. 2 minutes, Jasmine said. For the first time, something flickered in her eyes. Not panic. Something else. Disappointment? The live stream hit 50,000 viewers. Comments flooded in from around the country. Screenshots spread across Twitter. Instagram stories multiplied. The digital wildfire was unstoppable. Rebecca Chen made one last attempt. Karen, please, look at the account notes. I said, step back! Karen's shout echoed through the marble lobby. Everyone froze. In that silence, sirens wailed closer. Through the doors, 2 black SUVs pulled up. Federal plates. The real deal. Karen's triumph was palpable. Finally, justice. The Columbia student narrated breathlessly. FBI's here. 2 agents getting out. They're coming in. The doors swung open. 2 agents in dark suits entered. Special Agent Rodriguez, tall and commanding. Special Agent Thompson, compact and alert. Their eyes swept the scene professionally. There, Karen pointed at Jasmine. She's attempting to defraud this bank. $50 million wire transfer. Suspicious documentation. Refusing to comply with security protocols. The agents exchanged a look. Rodriguez spoke first. Ma'am, we're going to need everyone to remain calm. I am calm, Karen insisted. She's the threat. Thompson approached Jasmine slowly. Professional. Careful. The live stream audience held its breath. Ma'am, Thompson said, we're going to need to see some identification. Jasmine nodded, reached slowly for her briefcase, every movement deliberate, calculated. The security guards tensed. Slowly, one guard warned. Jasmine's fingers found the clasps. The briefcase opened with a soft click. 3:59 p.m., 1 minute until the truck left. The transfer, Jasmine said quietly. It needs to happen now. That's not going to happen, Karen declared. You're going to federal prison! The agents moved closer. The briefcase opened wider. Light caught on something inside. Something metallic. Official. The live stream viewers could barely see. Comments flew. What's in there? This is it. Please don't let them shoot her. 100,000 viewers now, growing exponentially. Agent Rodriguez leaned in. His expression changed, just for a second, but the cameras caught it. "Thompson," he said quietly, "you need to see this." 4:00 p.m. The armored truck's engine revved. The driver checked his mirrors, preparing to leave. Everything balanced on a knife's edge. Jasmine, Karen, the agents, the witnesses, the world watching through phone screens. The briefcase opened fully. And everything changed. Agent Rodriguez's hand moved to his earpiece. His eyes never left the briefcase's contents. "Director Washington?" The words hit the lobby like a thunderclap. Jasmine stood slowly, her movements deliberate. "Agents?" Both FBI agents straightened. Their hands moved in unison. A salute, crisp, professional, respectful. The silence that followed was deafening. Karen's face drained of color. Her mouth opened, closed. No words came. The Columbia students' live stream exploded. Comments scrolled too fast to read. "Director? What just happened? Oh my God!" The viewer count shot past 250,000. Jasmine reached into the briefcase. Her movements were unhurried now. She pulled out her credentials. FBI director's badge, gold shield catching the afternoon light. The photo matched perfectly. No weight gain, no suspicion, just authority. "I'm here," Jasmine said quietly, "investigating systematic discrimination in lending practices." The words fell like dominoes, each one knocking down another piece of Karen's world. Rebecca Chen's hand covered her mouth. Miguel gripped the counter. The security guards stepped back instinctively. The elderly black woman whispered, "Thank you, Jesus." Karen's voice came out strangled. I didn't... You didn't say... I said I was a customer." Jasmine's tone remained level. "I am one of 47 million black Americans who face this every day." The briefcase revealed more. Federal warrants, bank audit authorizations, months of documentation. This wasn't random. This was planned. Agent Thompson spoke carefully. "Director, we weren't expecting you until tomorrow." The timeline accelerated. Jasmine glanced at the armored truck pulling away. The transfer window had closed, but something in her expression suggested that had never been the real goal. Karen's legs wobbled. She gripped the counter for support. "This is entrapment. This is accountability." Jasmine pulled out a tablet. "Every interaction today was recorded. Your words, your actions, your assumptions." The live stream hit 500,000 viewers. News alerts popped up on phones across the country. CNN, Fox, MSNBC, everyone wanted this story. "Third bank this week," Jasmine continued. "Same treatment at all three, different cities, different managers, same bias." She swiped through files on the tablet. Recordings, transcripts, data that painted a picture no one could deny. "You're the third manager to mention my kind." Jasmine's voice carried no anger, just facts. "The 7th to demand excessive documentation. The 15th to call law enforcement for a legal transaction." Karen's professional mask shattered completely. "I was following protocol." "Show me the protocol." Jasmine waited. "Show me where it says to treat customers differently based on appearance." Silence. The reporter outside pressed against the glass, cameraman filming everything. Inside, phones captured every angle. This wasn't just a moment. It was evidence. "Ms. Mitchell," Agent Rodriguez said formally, "we'll need you to step aside while we secure the scene." "Secure what scene?" Karen's voice pitched higher. "I'm the manager here." "Were." The correction came from Rebecca Chen. Quiet, but clear. Jasmine pulled out more documents. "We've been monitoring First National for 6 months. Loan denial rates, account restrictions, service disparities." She let the papers fan out on the counter. The numbers tell a story. Each page was damning. Black applicants denied at 3.7 times the rate of white applicants. Same income brackets, same credit scores, different outcomes. That's just statistics, Karen stammered. Your emails tell a different story. Jasmine pulled up a file on her tablet. Quote, use extra verification for urban applicants. Urban being your code word. The security guard who'd tried to warn Karen stepped forward. I tried to tell you. The system flagged her as a VIP, federal clearance level. Why didn't you say something? Karen turned on him. I tried. 3 times. His voice was steady now. You told me to do my job. The Columbia student provided commentary for his audience. She knew. They all knew. And they did it anyway. More revelations emerged from the briefcase. Jasmine had opened accounts at 12 banks, attempted identical transactions, worn the same clothes, carried the same documentation. Only the responses varied, and they varied by race. This was a test? Karen's voice cracked. This was evidence. Jasmine's phone rang again. She answered this time. Yes, Senator. I'm at First National now. Yes, they failed too. Senator. The live stream audience caught that. Comments exploded again. We have a congressional hearing next week, Jasmine continued after hanging up. Banking. While black, a federal investigation. You'll be receiving a subpoena. Karen sank into a chair. The weight of her actions, captured forever on hundreds of phones, pressed down on her. I'm not racist, she whispered. Your actions suggest otherwise. Jasmine pulled up more data. In your 5 years as manager, you've personally denied 89% of black applicants. The previous manager? 23%. The math was undeniable. Miguel found his voice. She made us all take urban awareness training, taught us to look for warning signs. Such as? Agent Thompson had his notebook out. Certain names, certain zip codes, certain appearances. Miguel looked sick saying it. The elderly black woman spoke up. I've been banking here 40 years. Since Karen arrived, they make me show ID for every transaction, every single one. My white friends? Never. More stories emerged. Other customers finding courage in the moment. The pattern was clear. Systemic, deliberate. This is bigger than one bank, Jasmine addressed the cameras now. This is about economic justice, about the wealth gap, about opportunity denied. Her phone buzzed. Treasury Secretary. She ignored it for now. You know what the real crime is? Jasmine turned back to Karen. It's not just the denial of service. It's the denial of dignity. Karen's tears started then, but they seemed more about consequences than conscience. Phase 2 begins Monday, Jasmine announced. Full federal audit of every major bank, algorithm reviews, hiring practices, loan decisions, everything. The live stream hit 1 million viewers. #Justice for Jasmine trending worldwide. But Jasmine wasn't done. There's something else. She pulled out a final document. This wasn't just about bias, it was about theft. The room tensed again. Those excessive fees you charge urban customers, the mysterious account closures, the missing deposits. Jasmine let each accusation land. We've traced $47 million in lost funds. Guess where they went? Karen's face went from pale to gray. Your offshore accounts are already frozen. Jasmine's revelation hit like a final blow. Discrimination was just the beginning. Fraud is the end. Agent Rodriguez stepped forward. Karen Mitchell, you're under arrest for federal banking fraud, civil rights violations, and conspiracy to commit theft. The handcuffs clicked. The sound echoed through the marble lobby, through the live stream, through the news cameras, through history. But Jasmine wasn't finished. She had one more card to play, one more truth to reveal. The $50 million transfer? She looked directly at the cameras. It was never about money, it was about justice. And justice doesn't fit in a briefcase. She paused, letting the moment build. But it does fit in a movement. The executive elevator climbed toward the 47th floor. Jasmine stood between Agents Rodriguez and Thompson, her briefcase holding evidence that could topple an empire. The LED display counted up like a judge's gavel. 23, 24, 25. CEO Richard Blackstone's corner office commanded a view of the entire financial district, the kind of view that made men feel like gods. Today, it would witness a reckoning. The mahogany doors opened to reveal Blackstone behind his $50,000 desk. 6 board members flickered on the wall-mounted screens, their faces carefully neutral. The general counsel sat to Blackstone's right, sweat already beading on his forehead. Director Washington. Blackstone didn't stand. I assume this theatrical arrest of my branch manager has a purpose? Jasmine set her briefcase on the conference table. The click echoed. Mr. Blackstone, are you familiar with the Community Reinvestment Act of 1977? Don't lecture me on banking law. His voice carried 40 years of privilege. Then you know violations carry penalties up to 2% of total assets. Jasmine pulled out her tablet. For First National, that's $2.8 billion. The general counsel shifted. That's maximum statutory. Your bank denied 12,000 black families home ownership last year alone. Jasmine projected data onto the wall. Charts, graphs, undeniable patterns. Same income as approved white applicants, same credit scores, different outcomes. Board member faces on screen began showing cracks of concern. Our algorithms are race-blind, Blackstone insisted. Your algorithms were trained on biased data. Jasmine pulled up the code. Line 4847, zip code waiting. You penalize predominantly black neighborhoods. Call it risk assessment. She swiped. More code appeared. Line 5293, name pattern recognition. LaShawn gets flagged, Lauren doesn't. Both applying for the same loan. The general counsel typed furiously on his laptop. Stock price alerts. First National down 7% in 20 minutes. The live stream effect. This is a witch hunt. Blackstone's voice hardened. This is mathematics. Jasmine's tone remained clinical. Your own data convicts you. 3.7 times denial rate. Across all products, all branches, all years you've been CEO. Board member Helen Chen spoke from the screen. Richard, what's our exposure here? Beyond the CRA penalties, Jasmine answered for him. Criminal charges for systematic discrimination, SEC violations for misleading shareholders about compliance, FDIC reviewing your charter. Should I continue? Blackstone's jaw clenched. What do you want? Justice. Jasmine pulled up a new presentation. But I'll settle for transformation. The terms appeared on screen. Complete algorithmic bias audit by independent firm $500 million, Community Reinvestment Fund, 40%, minority management by 2027, monthly federal monitoring for 5 years, mandatory anti-discrimination training, all staff public admission of systematic bias. Impossible, Blackstone scoffed. The shareholders would revolt. The shareholders will lose everything if we prosecute. Jasmine showed projected losses. Stock drops 60% on federal charges. Brand value evaporates. Mass withdrawals. Bank run. Bankruptcy within 18 months. The general counsel whispered urgently in Blackstone's ear. The board members were typing on their phones, panic spreading through private channels. You have no authority to make deals, Blackstone tried. Jasmine's phone rang. She put it on speaker. Director Washington here. Jasmine, it's the Attorney General. Are we proceeding with charges? That depends on Mr. Blackstone's next words. The call ended. The threat hung in the air like a sword. Board member David Park spoke up. Richard, we need to consider. I know what we need to consider. Blackstone's composure cracked. 40 years building this institution. 40 years of redlining by another name. Jasmine pulled up a map. Red dots for denied loans. The pattern was damning. You digitized discrimination, made it algorithmic, called it innovation. She swiped. Email chains appeared. Your words, Mr. Blackstone. Quote, keep them out legally. Let the algorithm be the bad guy. Silence. Even the board members looked shocked. That's out of context, Blackstone muttered. Here's context. Jasmine showed loan approval rates. When you became CEO, minority approvals dropped 47%. Your predecessor had built inclusive practices. You systematically dismantled them. The general counsel's laptop showed more alerts. Stock down 12%. Twitter ablaze. Customers posting account closure photos. The run beginning. You're destroying a century-old institution, Blackstone accused. You destroyed communities for profit. Jasmine's calm never wavered. Generational wealth denied, dreams deferred, families broken. For what? Your $47 million bonus last year? Board member Chen cut in. Director Washington, if we agree to your terms, when you agree, Jasmine corrected. You have 43 minutes before markets close. Announce reforms, stock stabilizes, fight me, and Monday's opening bell becomes your funeral bell. Blackstone stood abruptly. This is extortion. This is consequence. Jasmine pulled up more evidence. Should we discuss the offshore accounts Karen Mitchell used? The ones traced back to your Cayman holdings? The general counsel went pale. Richard? Or should we discuss the DOJ's interest in your political contributions? The ones laundered through enough? Blackstone's fist hit the desk. What guarantee do we have? Performance metrics. Jasmine displayed benchmarks. Miss them, we prosecute. Meet them, you survive. Transform, you might even thrive. The board members were in full crisis mode. Private messages flying. Helen Chen took charge. Richard, step out. Board needs to confer. This is my bank. Was. Chen's voice cut steel. Security, escort Mr. Blackstone to the anteroom. The coup was swift. 40 years of power ended in 40 seconds. Jasmine addressed the board directly. You have two choices, evolution or extinction. First National can lead banking reform, or become a cautionary tale. David Park asked, the management quota? Not negotiable. Representation matters. Decisions change when decision-makers reflect communities served. The monitoring ensures compliance. Trust is earned, not assumed. The admission of bias. Honesty begins healing. Your customers deserve truth. The board huddled virtually. Whispered conferences, calculated risks, stock down 18%. Time running out. Helen Chen returned to screen. Director Washington, if we agree, when we agree, who oversees implementation? Rebecca Chen, promoted to Chief Compliance Officer, reports directly to federal monitors. Not the board? The board failed oversight. You'll learn accountability. More whispers, more calculations. The general counsel showed projections. Compliance costs versus prosecution costs. Survival versus principles. Math versus morality. The timeline? Park asked. Announcement in 30 minutes. Implementation begins Monday. Full compliance within 6 months. Or I make a different call to the Attorney General, the SEC, the FDIC, the Senate Banking Committee. Shall I continue? Chen made the decision. We accept your terms. All of them? All of them. Jasmine pulled out the agreement. Already drafted. Every detail covered. Sign now. All board members. Legally binding. One by one, digital signatures appeared. The transformation of American banking, decided in a boardroom, witnessed by federal agents, enforced by law. "Mr. Blackstone needs to sign," Jasmine noted. Security brought him back, defeated, diminished. The man who'd ruled an empire, reduced to a signature. "Sign it, Richard," Chen commanded, "or we'll sign your termination instead." The pen shook in his hand, but he signed. Jasmine collected the documents. "Press conference in 20 minutes. You'll announce everything, publicly, honestly, or the deal dies." She turned to leave, then paused. "That $50 million transfer? It's happening Monday. Funding for minority-owned business incubators. Consider it your first act of restitution." The elevator doors closed on a shattered dynasty. Justice had come to the 47th floor. The bank lobby had transformed into a makeshift press center. News crews jostled for position. The live stream that started it all continued rolling, now with 2.3 million viewers worldwide. Jasmine stood to the side, letting others take center stage. Richard Blackstone approached the microphones like a man walking to his execution. Behind him, the board members flanked the podium. Karen Mitchell was notably absent, already in federal custody. "Good afternoon," his voice cracked. He cleared his throat, started again. "First National Bank has failed you." The words hung heavy. Cameras clicked. History recorded. "For 5 years under my leadership, we've systematically denied equal access to banking services based on race." No euphemisms, no corporate speak, just truth. "This was wrong. This was illegal. This was my responsibility." Behind him, Helen Chen watched carefully. One deviation from the script, and he'd be removed physically. "Effective immediately, I'm resigning as CEO." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. "The board has appointed Helen Chen as interim CEO, with Rebecca Chen as chief compliance officer." Rebecca stepped forward, still processing her elevation from assistant manager to C-suite in one afternoon. Her hands trembled slightly as she took the secondary microphone. "First National will undergo complete transformation," Rebecca announced. "Every algorithm, every policy, every practice that perpetuated bias will be eliminated." She outlined the reforms: the $500 million community fund, the hiring quotas, the federal monitoring. Each commitment landed like a promise to the watching world. The elderly black woman from earlier pushed through the crowd. "What about those of us already hurt, already denied?" Blackstone found his humanity in that moment. "We're reviewing every loan denial from the past 5 years. Those wrongfully rejected will receive priority reconsideration and damages." "How much?" someone shouted. "Whatever it takes," Helen Chen answered. "We've allocated $2 billion for restitution." The Columbia student kept streaming. "This is unprecedented. A major bank admitting systematic racism, paying for it, changing everything." Jasmine's phone buzzed. Text from the Attorney General. "Well done." A young black girl, maybe 12, tugged on Jasmine's sleeve. "Are you really the FBI director?" Jasmine knelt to her level. "I am, but more importantly, I'm someone who refused to accept no when it wasn't justified." "Can I be like you?" "You already are." Jasmine smiled. "Every time you stand up for what's right." The girl's mother had tears in her eyes. "Thank you. My loan application was denied last month. Maybe now." "Apply again Monday," Rebecca Chen overheard. "Ask for me personally." Across the lobby, Miguel was promoted on the spot to branch manager. His first act was removing Karen's urban awareness training materials. His second was calling every customer she'd wronged. The security guard who'd tried to warn Karen approached Jasmine. "I should have done more. Said more." "You tried." Jasmine's understanding was clear. "Now you can do better. That's all any of us can do." The press conference continued. Hard questions flew. Blackstone answered them all, each admission another nail in his legacy's coffin. but something like relief flickered in his eyes. The weight of maintaining injustice had its own burden. "What happens to Karen Mitchell?" a reporter asked. "Federal prosecution," Jasmine answered. "Fraud, civil rights violations. She'll face justice like anyone else who steals from communities." The ripple effects were immediate. Other banks announced voluntary bias reviews. CEOs scheduled emergency meetings. The entire industry scrambled to avoid becoming the next First National. By 5 p.m., First National's stock had stabilized. Customers who'd threatened to leave decided to stay and witness transformation. Some even opened new accounts, believing in redemption. Rebecca Chen addressed employees gathering in the lobby. "Tomorrow, we begin the hard work, earning back trust, serving all communities, being the Bank America needs." The live stream finally ended. The Columbia students' final words: "Change happens when we witness, when we record, when we refuse to be silent." Jasmine prepared to leave. Her work here was done, but 17 more banks awaited investigation. Her briefcase held their secrets too. At the door, Blackstone caught up to her. "Director Washington?" She turned. "I'm sorry." The words seemed to physically hurt him. "Not just for today. For every family we hurt. Every dream we killed." "Apologies are words," Jasmine replied. "Reform is action. Prove you're sorry with what comes next." He nodded, understanding the weight of that challenge. As Jasmine walked to her car, phones throughout the city buzzed with news alerts. Banking would never be the same. The old ways were dying in the light of live-streamed truth. Justice had come to First National Bank. And it was just the beginning. 1 month later, Karen Mitchell sat in a federal courthouse, watching her life unravel on national television. 23 counts of fraud, 14 civil rights violations. The woman who'd wielded power like a weapon now faced 20 years. First National Bank had transformed beyond recognition. Rebecca Chen implemented Dignity First protocols. Every customer greeted equally. Every application reviewed blindly. The algorithms rebuilt from scratch, bias-free. The numbers told the story. Minority loan approvals up 340%. Small business funding in underserved communities increased 5-fold. Customer satisfaction scores soared from 2.1 to 4.8 stars. Jasmine testified before Congress, her words carrying the weight of evidence. Financial discrimination isn't just about money. It's about denying generations the chance to build wealth, to own homes, to start businesses, to dream. The National Banking Fairness Act passed with bipartisan support. Mandatory bias testing, federal oversight, real penalties with teeth. What started in one marble lobby became law across America. 17 banks fell under investigation. 3 CEOs resigned before charges were filed. The industry scrambled to reform, terrified of becoming the next viral video. The Columbia student who'd live-streamed it all received a journalism scholarship. His professor called it citizen reporting at its finest. He still wore the same hoodie, now famous in its own right. Miguel, now branch manager, instituted Second Chance Fridays. Every denied application got fresh review. Families who'd given up hope found doors opening. Dreams deferred became dreams achieved. The elderly black woman who'd witnessed it all became a community liaison. Her 40 years of banking while black now helped train employees. Dignity, she'd say, costs nothing but means everything. That young girl who'd asked Jasmine about becoming like her? She started a Future Leaders Club at school, 12 years old, already understanding that power meant responsibility to lift others. Jasmine's investigation expanded internationally. Banks in London, Tokyo, and Johannesburg requested bias audits. The movement crossed oceans. Justice has no borders. But the real victory was smaller, quieter. A black mother approved for a mortgage after 3 rejections. A Latino entrepreneur getting startup funds. An elderly Asian man treated with respect at the teller window. These weren't just black stories or touching stories. They were real-life stories of systems changing, of power shifting, of justice winning not through violence, but through verification. Life stories that reminded America, discrimination thrives in darkness, but dies in light. Jasmine kept a photo on her desk, that young girl from the bank, smiling. Below it, a handwritten note. Future FBI Director, Class of 2045. Her phone rang constantly. More banks to investigate. More battles to fight. But she'd proven something crucial. Power respects only power, and sometimes justice wears a simple black suit. Your dignity is non-negotiable, she'd tell audiences. Document everything. Stand firm. Change comes when we refuse to accept no from those who have no right to say it. What injustice have you witnessed? Comment your story below. Share this video. Awareness creates change. Subscribe for more stories of justice prevailing. Together, we transform systems. Because in the end, this wasn't about one woman's vindication. It was about 47 million Americans who face bias daily. And now, they had proof that fighting back works. The revolution would be live-streamed.